to set my timer. I know, it only gets worse. I spit, I'm so nervous. Just stuck a big old Nicorette in my mouth. I'm so fragile, I can't even do the 4 milligrams anymore. I'm such a pussy. Got to drop it down to 2, but I thought, I think I'll do 4 tonight. Whoa. No in and out privileges. It's like the dating advice I give to my sponsees. Right? Let the healing begin. Hi, family. I'm Samantha. I'm a drug addict. I want to thank the committee for having me. Thank Michael and Gary, and it's quite a suit there, son. And it's like a Spanish teacher I had in 10th grade or something. He was weird, but I liked him. I want to thank Marla and everybody else, and I already made my amends to Michael because I was like all high maintenance a few days ago. This is beautiful. Who did this? Who? Tina? Tina. 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 Yeah, okay, it takes a village, whatever. Blah, blah, blah. It's awesome. Anyway, how much more time we got? Okay. Got enough tape over there? I want to thank all the speakers that came before me and those that will come after me. Thanks to everybody who's doing the workshops. It's amazing. It really is an amazing conference. It's a great conference. CA is just fucking kooks, isn't it? I keep forgetting because I do AA so much and everyone's just like, you know, and CA is just like, fuck you, you know. They're like, we don't care if you're the speaker, you know, just show up. You're not anything special. It's really weird because this whole like speaker thing is it's so against the 12 traditions, you know. We're supposed to be like one of many, you know, you're just worker among workers, blah, blah, blah. And we get treated like rock stars, and frankly, it's awesome. Just further to fall when you find out how human I am, but anyways, how unrecovered. So my sobriety date this time, I got a bunch of them. My sobriety date this time is September 5th, 1995. I got a sponsor, she's got a sponsor, she's got a sponsor, blah, blah, blah. I got a bunch of home groups. I sponsor a ton of ungrateful clowns that keep me clean on a daily basis. And I never had it so good no matter what my head says. How much time we got left? First time I did cocaine, I liked it. I liked it a lot. Then I found methamphetamine. So, I'm always very popular at a Cocaine Anonymous convention when I say cocaine is just meth for pussies. See how it gets kind of quiet. Now, don't get me wrong, I love cocaine, okay? First time I ever smoked crack cocaine, I lost my car. Like, I didn't misplace it. I mean, the bitch that I was smoking rock with took my car and sold it. That night, first time, powder blue 1971 Nova is gone. Because she thoughtfully was going to get more. And I never saw her again. So I had a resentment of cocaine early on. I was 19 years old, and things just went downhill, really, from there in a lot of ways. So, and the next time was a few years later, and I had found the needle, and I would put Starbucks in a needle if it weren't so socially unacceptable. I would be slamming water from this podium if somehow, some way I felt that I could justify that in some sort of a social manner, but I can't. Which I just think, society's so uptight. But, so I slammed cocaine into my vein one night, and wah, 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 and everything else, and yay, awesome. But then you want it like immediately. It's just pincushion city over and over and over and over. Methamphetamine is practical. I mean, when you first start doing meth, it's like, it's just handy. It's handy, it's smart, it's practical. It's affordable. And you're gonna get some things done. You really are gonna get some things done. It gets accomplished. I felt good about myself on methamphetamine for a little bit. Until I stabbed the man I loved in the head. Because as best as I could tell, he was leaving with a full jar of peanut butter, which I know makes no sense because I hadn't eaten since like '94. But the whole point was, the entirety of my getting loaded can be summed up in this. It sounded like a good idea at the time. You know what I mean? So I like to qualify quite briefly by simply saying I'm an alcoholic that slams methamphetamine that gets nothing done. And it's very scandalous in the process. So I had a bunch of sobriety dates before September 5th, 1995, but suffice it to say, I could have used this program when I was 9. The first time I got loaded, I was 9 years old. And I'm sure that I needed a drink much sooner than that, but it was, like I say, it was really hard to score with like a Partridge Family lunch pail or whatever it was I was carrying at the time. So my first drink came disguised in the form of marijuana. I smoked marijuana, I fell off their roof, and I ate a lot of almond roca candy. Small price to pay, couldn't wait to do it again. Shit just went downhill from there, you know what I'm saying? By the time I'm 17, I'm thrown into a drug rehab. They bring in hospitals and institutions. They tell me I'm sick and not bad, and that's the first time I've ever felt hope. Because up until that point, I was convinced that I was evil. I would obsess about dropping acid into my mom's coffee and watching her flip out. I fucking hated her. I hated my parents, and I'm not just saying that to be cool, because I'm already cool, but I'm saying I really hated my parents. I am the youngest of 4. I'm the only one that was adopted. So, I used to think that what made me an alcoholic and a drug addict was that I was adopted or that I was inappropriately touched and so on and so forth. I found out what makes me an alcoholic is alcohol. For sure, what makes me a drug addict is drugs. You gotta do them. So as much as I love, don't leave before the miracle. Don't leave before the miracle. Just don't drink no matter what. Just put the plug in the jug. If I could just drink no matter what, you think I'd be here on Saturday night? I got Netflix to watch. I got shit to do. You know what I mean? So if you're one of those folks that's like, just don't drink and go to meetings, I don't know what program you belong to. That's not the program I belong to. Yeah. Anyway, the program I belong to is actually laid out like a beautiful recipe for chocolate cake, right? But it frankly tastes like shit. So the program seems to work a lot better if you're starving, I've found. Because when you're starving, you're like, of course I'll eat that. I'll try anything, Your Honor. But if you're not really starving, then the recipe is a little unpalatable, shall we say. Let's go through it, shall we? Who cares to admit complete defeat? Nah. Not when every natural instinct cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness. I love that shit. Who cares to turn their will and their life over to the care of some God that never did them any favors? Nope. Who wants to write a list of their grosser moral handicaps and then share them with some stranger who's just going to talk shit about you at the next meeting? Nope. Become entirely ready to have your character defects, oh, you mean my survival skills, removed? I think not. Who cares anything? I love this one. The I was wrong. Not I'm sorry. I was wrong. If you don't think there's a difference between I was wrong and I'm sorry, try I was wrong. You'll be like, I was wrong. I was wrong. I was wrong, right? I mean, after a while, I'm sorry is just like, I'm sorry. I'm fucking sorry. Sorry. Oh, they know you're sorry. They don't want to hear I'm sorry. They've heard I'm sorry. That's not an amends. An amends was I was wrong. I was wrong. How can I make this right? Here's how I was wrong. I was selfish. I was dishonest. I was self-seeking. I'm afraid, right? I tried to gather my allied forces. I threw you under the bus. It's like I was wrong. And you really can do an amends without being sorry, just between you and me. Right? I was wrong, you dumb son of a bitch. You know what I mean? You leave that off because then you got to make an amends for that. But because there's times I'm not sorry. Well, the whole thing is it's when wrong, promptly admit it. And it's like, promptly, Jesus, what, you know. So I'm not sorry and I'm wrong. What are you going to do? You know, so it's like I was wrong for talking to you like that. I was wrong to use that tone. I was wrong to say that. I was wrong to harm you. I was wrong to cause you harm, right? So anyway, that's the I was wrong. Then who wants to sit quiet, prayer, meditation, right? Nah. I'd rather react. Right? And then the kicker, who wants to sacrifice time and energy carrying the message to some other ungrateful broad who's not going to stay sober anyway? You know what I mean? That's how I read it, right? I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what the 12 and 12 says, right? Nah. The average alcoholic, self-centered and to the extreme, doesn't care for this unless he has to do it in order to stay alive himself. And I joke all the time, but it's true. I was 8 years sober before I caught the word alive. I thought it said sober. If it's to stay alive, then you're like, well, what kind of death are we talking about? You know what I mean? Because if it's like a fast death, you know, shit. Choose an alcoholic, you know, to die an alcoholic death or choose a spiritual life. And we're the only ones that are like, relax. What? Okay, what are the choices? All right, hold on. Hang on. Don't rush me. Wait, you know what I mean? Wait. So rude. Everybody else, you know, you take a poll down at Ralph's or Vaughn's or whatever grocery store you got going here, and they'll be like, oh, I don't know, spiritual life, alcoholic death sounds terrible, you know. We're like, I don't know, what do you think? What? Quick death, I'm out, right? So the story, you know, I mean, you pretty much got the story. The story is, you know, alcohol and drugs were never the problem, man. They were the solution for a really, really long time. I didn't have a life like Schnock. Where's Donald? Is he around? Is Donald here? He probably left. That's good, because they all heard my story a billion times. But anyways, I didn't have, you know, I mean, I didn't have a bad life at all. I was, you know, adopted when I was 4 weeks old. I was adopted by my mom and dad. My dad was a surgeon. He's a doctor. He's my freaking hero, you know, and you know, I had a good life. I was a troubled kid, you know, from get-go. And, you know, the psychology behind that and all that, I mean, I don't know. I just know that, you know, when I first smoked weed and then drank and took pills and then, you know, found the coke and everything else, it's the same story as everything else. I mean, how many speakers are, you know, what's the story different? Chick stands up, burnt life to ground, found God, worked steps, yay! You know, and then we clap and get the hell out of here. It's no different, you know? I can sum this whole thing up and we can get on with rock and roll bingo or whatever it is Sarah's got planned, right? The only fucking problem you got is self-centered fear, and the only answer there is God. Let's pray and get the fuck out of here. Wrap it up. But you give me all this swell time and I came all the way, so. So anyway, I think the biggest thing that I guess I want to share with you guys tonight is, if I may, how many of you are in your first year clean and sober? All right, just can we cut out the clapping and the touchy-feely for just a second here? Just like, can you raise them again without all the love and shit? And how many of you are relapsers? Well, I was going to just go with the 1 year sober, but okay. So of the 1 year sober, everyone up 1 year under 1 year in their first year. One more time, sorry guys. Can't fucking follow directions. Okay? And then of you, how many of you are relapsers? Look at this. Look at this. Almost every single one of them. Wow. Isn't that interesting? So when you hear relapse is not a part of recovery, you can simply say, oh, yes, it is. For us. For me, it is. For you, it is. For the other original winners, right? I just like to call them pussies, you know what I mean? Kidding. I'm kidding. Because you got to hang in there, don't you? I mean, really. You can't just quit because you're on a little antabuse, you know what I mean? I mean, what's a little like projectile vomiting, rapid heartbeat, and rash? You gotta drink through that shit. Right? It doesn't matter, one way or the other. I got an old timer in my home group that says, it doesn't matter, everybody dies sober, this lifetime or the next, you know. Depends on your philosophy, I guess. But I know for me that had I been able to do it differently, I'm sure I would have done it differently. Through all the stuff that I've been through, in 21 and a half years, I'm certainly not spiritual enough to stand before you and say I would have done it all the same way. I'm not there yet. There's a lot of stuff that I regret. But I don't regret being the woman that stands before you today. And Jordan and I, before I came down here tonight, we did a little meditation, we did a prayer. And usually I can hold off crying until the end. And even lately, I've been getting through it without crying lately. But I was on the floor just like weeping. And what came over me tonight in the prayer before I came down here was how much you are loved. And I'm not like the most touchy-feely person in the world, I'm a little edgy at times, but I'll tell you, that came washing over me like, how much you are loved. You too, little drunken midget. Especially you. The divine. So if you're struggling tonight, man, if you're struggling with like, what am I doing here? This is always going to be like this. This is never going to be okay. Da-da-da-da. I mean, if you're happy, joyous, and free, cool. That's cool. That is cool. And if you're not, that's cool. That is cool. I have never been a big fan of this whole life thing. I've always been a little bit kind of on the, let's put it this way. If you don't think about killing yourself at least once a week, I don't even want to hang out with you. You know what I mean? We got nothing in common. And frankly, you're not paying attention. You know what I mean? But I love this program. I love Cocaine Anonymous. And if you are new or used, welcome. Welcome to the most inclusive 12-step program on the planet. Really. Because, you know what, man? If you're a toilet seat sniffer, we welcome you. Come on in. Grab yourself a chair. Take a sniff in the bathroom, come on in, get a cup of coffee, and we'll get a chip for you one way or the other, you know what I mean? It's like, that's fine, because this is not about drugs and alcohol. This program is not about drugs and alcohol. This program is not about drugs and alcohol. It's about something much scarier. It really is. It's about really returning to your complete and total fucking divine self. It's about returning, resuming, remembering, realigning, reuniting, recommitting. It's about all the re's, which tells me I was already there. I just forgot. At 19 days sober, Judy M. in my home group just gave me a chip and said, welcome home. Welcome home. You know? People are like, CA, AA, man, that's a cult. It's a religion. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. I was like, and? You know what I mean? Yeah. Keep coming back. Oh, yeah, it's like a fucking, what do you call those? It's like, it's like one of those level scheme things. Oh, yeah, absolutely, yeah. If you get nothing out of this talk at all tonight, please take this with you. This is a practice. This is a practice. This is a practice. It's a practice. It's a practice. It's a practice. It's a practice. What is it? Practice. It's a practice. Just like hate is a practice. And racism is a practice. And fear is a practice. And anxiety is a practice. And I'm not saying it's not, you don't need help. That's what I do for a living on the down low. But just what I'm saying is I'm the weirdest therapist you'll ever meet, because I'll just be like, what's your fucking problem? You know what I mean? And they love me, And my client, you know what? And I don't have clients for a long time, because the shit that I do, half of it's here, half of it's the stuff I've learned. Thank God, because I have $150,000 student loan debt. So I did learn something. I swear, I read some books. You know what I mean? And the whole point is it's absolutely dovetails into this holistic thing that we're doing here, which is the only problem you have rests in your mind. That's it. That's the only problem you got. Sam, no, I really got problems. Seriously. I got some serious problems. I come to this program, and you guys give me a book. You know what I mean? I love what my buddy from Eric says, we're dealing with people who have like a heroin addiction, right? And you go, let's try to find a power greater than heroin. And they're like, rah. Here, try our book. And they're like, get the fuck out of here. Your book. You know what I mean? You got to come up with, you're sponsoring, man. You got to come up with something a little more creative than here's the book. Like, you got to get them to want to get in that book. And I swear to God, after 7,000 days in this program, I'm telling you, I opened that book, I'm like, when did they put that in there? That's new. And I'm in the literature, you know what I mean? And I read some stuff in the big book the other day, I'm like, that's fucking beautiful. When did they put that in? What is that? So I'm 6.5 years sober, right? And I'm with people who had never seen me drink before, And it's always funny to tell non-alcohol. I don't believe there's such thing as a normie. I just think non-alcoholics are just neurotic in some other way. I don't call them normies. There's no such thing as a normie. They're just neurotic in some other way, usually having to do with us. But anyway, so I'm at a bar with my husband at the time and my girlfriend. Neither would ever see me drink before. And it's always fun to tell non-alcoholics that you're a recovering alcoholic, because they'll say stuff like, well, that is really neat. Good for you. That is terrific. Good for you. They don't really get it, you know what I mean? They got it that night, let me tell you. So anyways, I hadn't been to a meeting in about 6.5 months, and they're talking over their they're drinking their wine or whatever, and I got my Diet Coke. I'm always the designated driver. Haven't been to a meeting in about 6 months. And all of a sudden, the thought occurs to me, this would be in italics if it were in the big book. Right? Like Jim, I love Jim, right? Jim. He used to own a lucrative automobile business, right? And then the dumb fucker, he sells it, right? And then he goes back and works for the guy, which I'm just thinking right off the bat, resentment, you know what I mean? I'm thinking this cannot go well, right? So Jim, fresh out of the asylum or whatever, coming back to work for that bastard that bought my shit, whatever, blah, 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 I could do it better than him, yeah. Anyway, they have words, right, that day. And then he goes off and he's going to sell some cars, nothing big, he stops at the diner. And all of a sudden, the thought occurs to him that if maybe puts a little whiskey in the milk on a full stomach, hey. Right? It's kind of like you get into the ring with Muhammad Ali in his heyday, right? And it's nothing personal, but the guy's going to kick the ever-living shit out of you. Because it's his job. You sit down and have a cup of coffee with the guy, and it's the sweetest thing ever, probably, you know what I mean? But in the ring, it's almost like I can see Muhammad Ali just being a gentleman and being like, I'm sorry, but I am going to kick the ever-living shit out of you, you know what I mean? And then you get the ever-living shit kicked out of you, and they cart you off to the, and you're hanging in there, you know what I mean? Like the whole bleeding out the eye and, the whole Monty Python. I'll fight you with one hand behind my back. I'm not dead yet, gush, gush, gush. They cart you off, and a month later or whatever, you're out of the ICU, and suddenly the thought occurs to you, I think I'm going to do just one more round with the champ. You know what I mean? Because you've been thinking, you ain't been doing shit, you've just been thinking. Nothing's different. But you've been thinking, and so you share this with a couple of your close friends, a couple of chums, right? And they're like, no. You're crazy. No, don't do it. Don't you remember? Don't you recall with sufficient force? Can't you bring that back in? And you'll listen politely to those who would advise. But all the decisions are to be yours and yours alone. No one's going to meddle with your independence, right? And so you're thinking, I understand your concern. It's going to be different this time because I have new boxing shorts. They're silk. They're black silk. I got this. And everyone else is like, I'm not going. I will not support you in this. And there's always one untreated Al-Anon in there. It's like, I'll go, I'll drive, I'll be there for you. Right? God bless them. It was all their fault anyway. And that's how it is. When I'm out of power, when I am powerless, I'm powerless. Powerless is I am without power. People seem to make a big deal out of this powerless thing. Write me a list. Let's write out your first step. And I'm like, oh, geez. Now, here's where it's going to get controversial. It's really not going to get controversial. And if you do this, that's fine, and you're awesome, and fucking don't even listen to me. This is just my experience, right? Because as the beautiful Cynthia said, the opinions of the speaker are not the opinions of CA, so please fucking disregard. And here's the disclaimer, right? Here's the thing, though. This is all based on my opinion, which is based on my experience, which means if you want to take me outside after the meeting and talk to me about my opinion, I will win because it's my experience and I got the scar tissue to prove it. That's just me, okay? So, that being said, here's my experience. My experience is there is no working step one. Step one works you. Step one is you're fucked. Next, let's move on. Alcohol and drugs worked me into step one. That's just me. If you're still confused about whether you're powerless or whatever, it's like, Jesus, I got nothing. I will, however, take them through the steps, right? So I start taking people through the steps, strangely enough, on page 60 in the chapter called How It Works. Because there weren't any fucking chapters before that when they first got sober. There wasn't a chapter There wasn't a doctor's opinion and a Bill's story and more about alcoholism and there's a solution. There wasn't. There was like, get on your knees and fucking pray your ass off. Just something that we don't give a shit that you don't believe in. Do you believe that I was a hopeless, drunk, loser, all-time loser? And Bob's like, well, after you've shared your tremendous humiliation with me, Bill, yes, I actually do believe that you were kind of a, as you say, fucking loser. I'm making all this shit up, but it's just like, this is how I see it in my head, right? Because Bill's like the, come on, and he's like this guy. He's like the passionate guy, and Bob's just kind of like this, Right? I mean, sorry. Like, you can't have a really uptight proctologist, you know what I mean? Although those two sound... Anyway, and the proctologist is like pretty laid back. And Bill's like the passionate one, Man, he was like, that's the step one experience. In the 12 and 12, it says, step one and step two require no action. They require reflection. And in the old days, it really was. It was like, me and Chuvak, man, we were talking. I'm like, tell me why are you here? Why do you want me to be your sponsor? What are you fucking doing in a CA meeting? What are you doing here? You're a young kid. What are you? And she was like, I can't stop. I can't stop getting high. I can't stop burning my life to the ground. I can't stop hurting my kids. I can't stop betraying my family. Every time I wake up and I think, this is the woman I want to be, and then I walk towards that and I can't get there. I can't get there. It's so far out of my reach, I can't get there. Because someone says, would you like a drink? Someone says, would you like a line? Someone says, would you like a spoon? And I say, no. Right? Powerless is powerless. Step two, we start to get some power. It's simple. It's, can you believe? Is it possible? And you start to get your sponsor, you pull them into the possibility of, look, you didn't know me when I had my bottom teeth knocked out and I was in 5-point restraints and naked, and the cop said it looked like she might have been pretty once. But I swear that's my story. I promise that's my story. That I stabbed the man I loved because I was tired of getting strangled. Although God knows I needed to get strangled. Someone needed to shut my mouth because my anger and my rage and all of this at him, and I ruined him because I was disappointed, right? Because there's no more dope. Or because he's doing so much dope, he's seeing things, and all I wanted him to do was just lay down with me. Please, stop doing it for like a minute. And he said, give me the fucking dope, Samantha. And I had an Al-Anon slip, man. I was just like, please don't get loaded. Please don't get loaded. It's just like, that's enough. Give me the shit, right? So I pull out this knife and I just poke him right in the head. You know what I mean? And he was fine, but those head wounds are like, gush, 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 and he's like, you fucking bitch, you fucking whore. So he was fine, is what I'm trying to say. He was fine. And he's calling the cops, and they're playing our song. Woo, 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 I'm in Atlanta, Georgia at the time because I had to flee California and then flee Arizona and then flee Texas because I was an alcoholic that slammed methamphetamine, which made me a very busy alcoholic. That got nothing done. And I was very scandalous in the process. But man, oh man, that blood coming and those sirens coming, and it was like exit stage left down Jimmy Carter Boulevard, and I had a moment of clarity. Because I had 6.5 months sober, right? Going back to that story of like suddenly the thought occurred to me that maybe it was a phase. I got sober when I was so young. I'm not really an alcoholic. I'm a drug addict. I never really had a drink out of a bottle. Let's try this. Half a glass of white Zinfandel. Boom, and off we go. And then I'm arrested 11 times, have my bottom teeth knocked out, end up in Atlanta, Georgia, and, 5-point restraints. And, it's because it's a good time. That's what I'm trying to say. We had a good time. So I get to this recovery home. I called this woman that had been my sponsor at one time, and I said, I think I'm done. I'm like held up in somebody's house. I don't even remember, somewhere in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was just like, the cops are after me. I stabbed Robbie, da-da-da-da-da. It's been a rough couple years. You know what I mean? Where do we go? She's like, come to Santa Barbara, go to Casa Serena. And I walk up those steps to that woman's recovery home, and all I saw was teeth, and these beautiful women that had their nails done, and they had all their teeth, which was kind of cool. And they were really nice to me. And they said, welcome. And they gave me candy. Whatever, rookie, handle your shit. We'll wait. Watch as mine goes off. Did I tell you everything you judge, you walk through? Write that down. Anyways, we'll go through the steps a lot tomorrow when we do this workshop that we're going to do, Step 4 workshop, and we'll do that, and I'll go through a lot of the steps in a lot more detail, that Step 4, because it's going to branch off into a bunch of stuff. But the bottom line is I work the steps at the speed of pain. And for me, I'd had 6.5 years sober, and I knew what it was like to feel free. And that's really what this thing is about. And I think that we spend so much time seeking what we think is freedom, but what it really is relief. And relief is so temporary, man. Relief is like 4 minutes, right? Relief is, it's that drink. It's just like, where you can get your breath again. It's relief. But it's not freedom. You hear a lot that this program is for fun and for free. This program is not for fun and for free. This program costs. The fellowship is for fun and for free. But this program costs. That seat costs. We are basic animals. We try to increase pleasure and decrease pain. Everything is a cost-benefit analysis, okay? In a lot of ways. I would like to say this is all done out of virtue. That's bullshit. For me, okay? We do not sponsor to get people sober. And if you're under that delusion that you are to sponsor to get people sober, you have been misled. You sponsor to stay sober. That's it. That's it. Because if you're powerless over drugs and alcohol, then you tap into a source of power for your own life, and now you are imbibed. You are absolutely engaged and infused with power. I hear people that are years sober that are just like, well, I have the mind of a chronic alcoholic. I don't know, I'm just fucked up in the head. I'm just, mind of a chronic alcoholic. I have an alcoholic brain. Really? No. You're unrecovered and you're irresponsible. But you're not, it's like either you tap into a source of power or you don't. To the family afterward, it's very clear. You have been given the power to save lives. I don't know how much clearer that can get. That is a huge responsibility. A responsibility that I often will hide in my room for days at a time because I'm scared or because I'm tired. And then I'm given the dope again. Through sitting and doing a fifth step, to see someone's eyes just go. Nothing better than sitting with someone who does a fifth step, and after like their 6 or 7 1, they're like, yeah, this is fucking stupid. I'm like, yeah. Right? I mean, after the 6th or 7th one, if they don't see a pattern, it's the same fucking one as one. Oh, I'm selfish, self-seeking, dishonest, and afraid. Ding, next. Yeah, as I read this right now, I don't even think I hate him that much anymore. Next. Freedom. I'm not even that angry at him. Freedom. And I don't mean like freedom. I mean like Zach De La Rocha, fucking Rage Against the Machine, Mel Gibson, Braveheart, freedom! Like that. That's how I feel, like on a daily basis. And then I ride the wave, man. The wave comes over and I'm sad. Or the wave comes over and I'm scared. Or the wave comes over and I'm doubtful. Or the wave comes over and I'm bored. Or the wave comes over and I'm tired. Or the wave comes over and I'm angry. or the wave comes over and I'm impatient. The most offensive thing about me is that I'm human. I find it incredibly offensive. It gets in the way of me really being a good servant for you. Nah, I'm a good servant. It gets in the way of me being a fucking awesome servant for you. This is the best Samantha I got. This is the best one yet. You are the best version of you now. I'm sorry, but it's true. And if you don't start making peace with that, I'm telling you, nobody else will. It is your job, man, to get this shit right. And if you keep going outside you to complete you, you're missing the boat. There is nothing outside of you that will complete you. That whole Jerry Maguire, you complete me thing fucked up a lot of us, let me tell you. Right here, right now, right here, right now, right here, right here, right now. This is where the practice begins. I don't even sponsor people anymore if they don't meditate. I won't even begin. If you have not begun a meditation, practice. You're missing the boat. And guess what? I don't care how new you are or how old you are. You're missing the dope. The sick make you want to shit your pants dope. Now, why would I mouth shit your pants when I've been dropping F-bombs all night? I have no idea where that came from. Explain that to me later. The steps, I believe, in my opinion, based on my experience, are designed for one thing and one thing only, right? It's said to develop this relationship with a power greater than yourselves that will solve your problems. Here's the only barrier between me and a power greater than myself and my complete and total evolution into divinity, which I already am, but I forgot, self-centered fear. So, this program is not about working on character defects. If anyone told you that, you can tell them Samantha disagrees, and I'll point you in the book where I believe I can back that up, which is in the 7th step prayer. If we were to work on a particular character defect, would it not say, God, remove this, fill in the blank, particular character defect? I think it would. It doesn't. It says, take all of me. Why don't you just take all of me? Just take all of me, good and bad. Take all of me. Take anything that stands in the way of being useful to you and my fellows. Why don't you take that? And God doesn't say, well, I'd like you to, if you could please indicate on the veritable plethora of items here that we have to remove. My God doesn't say that. My God says that's way beyond your pay grade. You are totally incompetent, Samantha, to tell me what I should remove. Now, of course, my belief system is that God is within me, so between you and me, I am God in my deepest, darkest moments, in my highest self, but that's just me. God is in me like water's in a wave, and blah, 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 but that's just me. In no way am I saying, make sure you edit this out, no, I'm just kidding. In no way am I saying that I am God. I think you know what I mean, and if you don't, you're ignorant, so get a couple books. But anyway, you know what I mean. And any great religion says it, and blah, blah, blah. Can you imagine me on meth? The important question isn't, would I have partied with these people? Of course I would have. All of you. It would be a party. It's like happy hour. I would truly only be happy for an hour. And that's why they call it happy hour, right? Because right after that, it's bad. This program is designed to remove self-centered fear, because that is the barrier between me and my Creator, between me and the divine. Self-centered fear. Fear, fear, fear. Fear is the chief activator of all my character defects. Do I believe that if I had less fear, I'd have less character defects? You're goddamn right I do. For sure. I've seen it. I've lived it. I felt it. I've experienced it. For sure, for sure, for sure. I'm a different person when I'm not scared. And I'm a different person when I'm scared. And I do different things when I'm not scared. And I do different things when I'm scared. Anybody else? Yeah. Isn't that precious? So for me, to tell you what happened, what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now, I was able, I'm the only one that's a drug addict. I'm the only one that's a criminal. I'm the only one in my family that's been in the psych ward. And I was the one that took care of my mom and dad till they died. Not because I'm so virtuous, because we had the best relationship. Because when I got sober, my mom and dad got into an amazing program called Families Anonymous, which is like Al-Anon, only it's like for black belts. No, just kidding. Al-Anon, Co-Anon, all that. But it's for parents, And they started working their steps, man. And when I was getting loaded, when I relapsed, they still went to their meetings. And they still helped families, And they went all around the world and were on the World Service Committee. And they did all that stuff, right? Because they knew that they were powerless over drugs and alcohol and other people's lives. That's what their first step is. And when I showed up to their door, man, after just tearing it up, and I hadn't slept, and I hadn't taken a shower, and I hadn't eaten in days, and I rolled up at 2 o'clock in the morning and knocked on their door, and my dad came to the door with his red plaid robe, and he opened the door, and he didn't say a word to me. He just held up an empty urine sample cup. And he said, get out. Before I call the police, get out. Now, years later, I found out that he got back into bed with my beautiful mom, and he wrapped his arms around her, and they wept. Because they knew that they had to give their daughter the dignity to live and the dignity to die, because it was my life. But that they had to keep their sanctuary safe. I needed a father, not a friend. He was willing to be an asshole. He was willing to be perceived as the bad guy, because that's how much he loved me. And he knew that this was between me and my Creator. And he wept. And he went to his meeting the next day, and he wept. And the people of his 12-step program held him, just like you do me, and just like I do you. Man, these miracles happen. I heard an awesome story today. I don't know if I can really tell the details, but suffice it to say it's a small world, and one of our members was on a plane, right, and she ran into some guy, and he's a, probation officer or something, and, she's telling him where she's going to a Cocaine Anonymous meeting, convention. Oh yeah, I got one of my guys is going there. So Kevin, if you're here, your probation officer says hi. Is that you? Who is it? Where's Kevin? Yeah! So, seriously, bro, did that blow your mind a little bit? Right? So here's the deal. My sponsee hears this woman talking about, I'm waiting here because I'm going to meet this kid. It's his first, CA convention, and I ran into his probation officer. And who comes wandering in the room but Kevin, right? Sits down. Who's the lady that met him? What's your name? Tanya. Yeah, Tanya. Was that just mind-blowing or what? Come on. What a coincidence. And if you're new and you're still edgy and you're still a badass motherfucker and all that stuff, and you don't want us to see the soft, snuggly, yummy part of you, which we already see, That's the shit we think is cool here. It's just cool. I don't know. It's like, if you have a problem with God, let me give you a couple, things. Here's God. God, if you're having a really hard time with God, and I get it, I am the most pagan creature on the planet. If you're having a hard time with God, here's God for me. Whoa. It's a really good Tool song. It's a really good, oh, my time's done. Thanks for letting me share now. I'll wrap it up, though. It's a really cool whoa. It's the thing like, do you know that when you break a bone and you get it set, that the bone is now stronger than the bone that you were born with? I don't know who thought of that, but well done. I don't know if you want to call it God. I'm just saying, what? You mean you break me, then you put me back together, wrap something around, and then I'm stronger than I was before you broke me. That's not woo-woo, magical, mystical, feel-good. That's fucking science. That's cool. Do you know that there's a chemical difference in the tears shed from joy than in the tears shed in sadness? What? Why? What is the only thing dictating the difference in the chemical makeup? My thought. Right? Thoughts don't mean anything. Really? Yes, I'm a quantum physics motherfucker. I don't get to be ignorant anymore, and frankly, neither do you. It's embarrassing and it's expensive. It's like, come on, man, find out about this. It's just like, get them into the book. I don't care what you guys gotta do. If you're not a more creative sponsor than your lame-ass fucking newcomer sponsee, shame on you. Come on, get creative. Call me, I'll help you. I'm a fucking kook. Because it matters to me. Not that you know what a good man is? A good man isn't a man who does good, it's a man who struggles. You know, I work with guys all the time and women all the time. It's like, well, why is he like that? Well, God, you know, all I want is him to be sensitive. Well, all I wanted is be like tough and protect me. I'm like, well, bitch, which do you want? The poor guy is like, You know, the number one killer of men in the Western culture is heart attack, and we teach our boys, don't talk, don't cry, and don't feel. Well, he never talks to me. Shut the fuck up. It's my sponsorship advice. And then the guys got the same problem. It's like, I don't know what a problem is with sex. You know what the number one killer of women in the Western culture is? Breast cancer, cervical cancer, and hip problems. You think we got a fucking problem somewhere? You know, Eve ate the apple and you're all fucked. So we carry that one, right? It's just a little weird kind of thing, like, oh, you know, all women are devious. Okay, yeah, you know. And then the bitches fucking live up to it. It's like, you're killing me over here. Stop being hysterical, you know? But then again, I get it. When you're called a crazy bitch all the time, or when the guy doesn't talk to you at all, you're just like, what's fucking going on? You know, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy is what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's like come on back to the center for a second. Let's come on back inside for a second. Let's come on back inside for a second and ask yourself, how many puppy kickers are in this room? If you're a puppy kicker, then you're beyond human aid for sure. Now you're in the psychopath realm and there's no help for you through the 12 steps. So I'm fucking serious. But if you're not a puppy kicker and you don't kick puppies, you don't like to kick puppies, and you're almost offended that I would say you're a puppy kicker, then I want you to stop kicking you. and in turn, the guy next to you. And every time you do say or think a thought that would be considered a puppy-kicking thought, I want you to write a check to the ASPCA for $10. Because that's what I had to do. My sponsor would simply hold up a pen, write another check. I was writing checks to the fucking ASPCA like 6 times a day. Till I started to post a guard outside the gate of my mind, and I'd be like, what am I thinking? Hang on, this is like, can I get a do-over? That's all I would say. Can I get a do-over? Can I get a do-over? You want to make your partner laugh and soften everything else and get back to the center of the couch? Try that. Can I get a do-over? That was fucked up. Let me try that again. I didn't mean you look fat in that dress. I meant I like the purple one better. And all of a sudden it's like cha-ching, right? Anyway, I could go on and on. I never had it so good, man. I buried both my mom and dad. Fucking, you know what? And I'm telling you what, I've never had it so good. I do not know what I'm doing at all in my life. I want you to know. I have never been this old. I have never been this sober. I have never been here before. I have never been here before. Isn't it neat? I've never fucking been here before. Thank you for my life.